It's 7 p.m. on Thursday night. WWTF Radio presents What's the Buzz? Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Mad Dog DeCipio. Dentures work for me, doesn't it? Joined as I am each and every week by the Pitbull Amelia Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
Doing great. How are you doing?
I am still stoked from last night's show. It was,
Me too.
man, we dropped some bombs last night. Holy smoke. We had Pearl Jr. here, the world's foremost authority on Michael Jackson. She knew Michael. I should say she still knows Michael. If you listen to Pearl, he's still alive somewhere.
Mhm.
She will be back with us, just so you know. Pearl Jr. is coming back June 29th and 30th. We are going to kick out the month in style. And I'm going to find out where, one way or another, I'm going to find out where Michael's been hiding. Because he owes me like $20. All right. Tonight, Amelia, you are responsible singularly and solely for our guest. Brock Davis was brought to my attention by Amelia Pitbull Chapman. So, Amelia, tell me about this young fella before I introduce him to the entire wide world.
Well, actually, he's got a wonderful voice, a great, wonderful guy, Mr. Brock Davis, Americana artist. And I've always loved his songs. Anytime I'm feeling down or I just want to relax for a day, I just listen to his music and it relaxes me. Or I just want to unwind and I listen to his voices and it's just so calm and
Oh,
wonderful.
you suck up with the best of them. Let me tell you. I
He
taught
does.
you
He has a
well, my
wonderful.
friend.
He
I
has a
taught you
wonderful
well.
voice.
Let me tell
He
everybody a
does.
little bit about Brock Davis, because this gentleman has been very patient with us. He is an independent country music. Let's put an independent
Americana.
Americana music artist. We're going to call it Americana, although
Hmm.
it says country in his bio. Brock Davis is a veteran performer who, like many before him, spent many years working the club and bar circuit. And hello, and he recently completed work on an album, a song waiting to be sung. He did that in Nashville, along with the help from some of Nashville's top musicians. He's based in Santa Cruz, California. But Brock is not a U.S. native. He's from Canada, a small place in Canada. I guess I want to say maybe
Vancouver.
the Vancouver, maybe British Columbia, around there. Um, from a small town, and those small town roots came through in his prolific song styling. We will take a look tonight, a very distinctive look at a different kind of singer songwriter, and discover, in fact, does the man make the music or does the music make the man? So, with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to his first time on What's the Buzz, Mr. Brock Davis. Hello, Brock. How are you, sir?
Emilio, good to see you.
Good to
By
see
the
you.
way, yeah, do I need a canine nickname? Should be like Brock Collie Davis or
No, that's far too gentle. We got to come up with something.
Rabid Poodle Davis.
No, I'm going to call you Brock the Doberman Davis.
There you
Hey,
go.
all right, Doberman
This
Davis.
is why I get paid the big bucks, baby.
That's right. Yeah, got
Why
the
I get paid
alliteration
the
going.
big bucks.
Right.
Brock the Doberman Davis. So, Brock,
There you
let me
go.
ask, and I will be candid with you. I will tell everyone and people who watch the show, they know. I'm not a huge fan of country music in general. I have my favorites though. I like Jimmy Dickens, little Jimmy Dickens, Bill Anderson, Porter Wagner. I had a chance to meet these people. I love the Grand Ole Opry. And in fact, 3 weeks ago, right here on this show, legendary country performer Lacey J. Dalton sat where you are right now. Well, not literally where you are, but she
Hmm.
occupied that box.
Virtually in my box. Yes.
Right.
You occupied your box. So I do have a soft spot for some artists, just for lack of country
Mhm.
artists,
Yeah.
a quote unquote, air quote. You're different though. I have. It's funny. I couldn't find any information on Brock, and then at the 11th hour, I found 3 pages on Brock about how he started and how he writes, and and all this stuff. So, Brock, I'm going to ask you what's not on the paper. First of all, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
You have officially been deemed the Doberman. So let's talk a little bit about your unlikely road to find yourself. You found yourself through music. You've been very candid in your bios that you had a rough upbringing, not a happy place to be. You weren't a happy kid. But like a lot of unhappy children, you find an outlet to channel your energy. You found music. What age did this come about, and what was your catharsis for choosing music as an outlet?
Well, Mad Dog, I didn't choose it. Music chose me.
Very
Absolutely.
interesting.
Yeah, and a couple of things I'll tell you there. When I was a kid, my granddad died. He played the piano, and when he died, piano came to us, and because we didn't have a ton of money, but the piano came to us, and so I was 9. And as soon as that piano showed up, it was in the summertime, and I was supposed to have piano lessons in the fall. But that piano was just drawn. I was drawn to that piano, and I always loved music, and had to overcome a bunch of things around that. But so that's the first thing I'll say. You asked me when I started. Piano was my first instrument. But rock and roll, guitar, that was my first love. Guitar is my first love. So I play them both now, but I always wish that I'd started the guitar a little earlier. Piano's the instrument I play the best. The second thing I want to tell you about is, so I always wanted to play music. My very first band when I was a little tiny kid, we did nothing but Beatles songs.
You can stay now.
Yeah.
You said the magic word. I
Not
tell
very
you.
well. I was a little young for Beatlemania. I was born when they were already hitting their prime. But anyways, and a lot of artists talk about seeing the Beatles on the Sullivan Show. If you listen to that was their turning moment. Well, for me, I had a similar moment, but it was I was 15, maybe 14, and it was this TV show called The Legends of Rock and Roll. And it started with Chuck Berry, and it went on from there, right? And towards the end, they had this guy, Bruce Springsteen, an E Street Band. And he was doing this song called Rosalita, which is a rave up, if you know it.
Love the song.
Live.
I'm a Jersey boy. I know it well.
You've seen it many times. It was live. It was dynamic. It was so electrifying. And for me, that was like, wow, that's what I want to do with my life. That was my Beatles on the Ed Sullivan moment. Seeing Bruce Springsteen on the Legends of Rock and Roll. And then later on, so that's the two things I'll say. Yeah.
That's, as I say, you can stay now. You said the magic word, Beatles.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Bruce Springsteen, that was bonus material.
Yeah.
So, and I have to tell you, just it's amazing. And Amelia, it's funny how things work out.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guests that we have, Brock, they mirror my life.
Yes.
And I'll just tell you that my vocation was music engineer. I was a sound engineer. I recorded a lot of bands, a lot of music, and that's my background. It's interesting. I have a very strange background. I was a sound engineer and a professional wrestling promoter. Don't ask me how.
Oh, now I understand where the Mad Dog comes from. Working the stick.
Yes, working the stick.
He comes into this arena, I'm going to rip him a new one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to show you, the WWTF in our radio call letters are wrestling with the future.
The future.
So, but here's the
Good
thing,
luck trying to
though.
pin that future down, by the way.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I have come to find out about every unusual artist, and I will definitely call you an unusual artist, because you're not solely country, and you're not a standard, and you're probably grateful not to be so.
Yep.
But one thing that I've found is that out of great tragedy, great triumph occurs. When did you realize that the rear view mirror was here and that it was getting further and further away from you? That you were in the clear now from this sordid past?
Well, maybe I'll just give you a little bit more background of it. So as you mentioned in the intro there, so when I was about 13, I started working professionally. I started playing the organ in church. I did that twice a week. I did that for quite a while. And I was 17. I played my first gig in a biker bar. I was underage. I was 19 was the drinking age, but I was allowed in because I was working there. So that's when I started. And I went and, not that it helped anything, but I did a degree in music at music school, and I worked a lot, all sorts of bars and venues that you can imagine, and even as a record producer. And that went on until my, I guess, early 30s.
Right.
And one thing that I couldn't do well was the road. I just was never happy on the road, and I looked, and really that was what was in the future. If I wanted to take that my original music further, was just a lot of road dates. I just couldn't do it, and plus I wanted a family. So what happened was I took a hiatus and I raised a family. And what I didn't realize during that process was that I didn't need to be full time in order to continue writing songs, because up to that point I'd had so much time and I was able to devote so much energy to it that I thought I needed to do that, and I didn't think I could do it any other way, right?
Yeah.
And so there was a long hiatus. I went for years without writing any songs, and of course I was really busy. I was raising a family, and at one point I moved from Canada down to the Silicon Valley area.
Right.
Caught up in high technology. I raised a bunch of money as a founder for a high tech startup. I was the CEO of a high tech startup, which means like I was one of 6 people, all working like 3 different jobs at the same time. I got caught up in that, but I got really burnt out, and I crashed. Basically, the way I put it is I crashed and burned. I just worked so much, and I just and I started re-examining things, and I started realizing I wasn't really paying attention to the things in life that gave me joy. Not only my kids, but music. And so I started writing songs again, and I realized I was able to do it and still like hold down another job. And then as things went on, I spent more and more time on the music, and the job has taken a back seat. So now we're at the point where I think I have a nice balance. I still have some work that I do, but I'm mainly focused on music. And so that happened about 5 years ago, that I was really able to turn things around. And
Right.
I also, even during my hiatus, I would say to people, the reason I was put here was to write songs that move people. I'm not doing it right now, but I know that's my reason for being here. And now I'm just living up to that.
Brock, do you consider your journey, and maybe it's a little heady and a little deep to ask this early in the conversation, but do you consider your journey a way of paying it forward to other people that have been in your position?
Well, I'm a big fan of that idea. If I can ever do that, of course I will. I don't know that that's my number one driver right now. My number one driver, and many songwriters will tell you this, but it's not money, it's not fame, it's not women, sex, anything that you might think of when you're a teenager. My number one driver is touching people's hearts. And when I get emails and messages from people saying, "Oh, that song made me cry. It just was my life. I was going through a tough divorce, and I heard that song about your divorce, and I broke down. It was wonderful." I live for that. Yeah. That's what I live for. Because music is emotion, and if I can touch into that emotion, that's what I'm here for.
It's funny. We've had people on the show. Amelia will tell you. You ask them, "Why did you get into the business?" They go, "Money, women, and sex." It's
well, that's understandable when you're like 20, 25.
Yeah, exactly. But these are people in their 30s and 40s, brother.
You ask them why they started. It's probably not. I think you find deeper reasons as you move along.
Amelia, questions for Mr. Brock Davis.
Right, because I remember that you were saying that about you wrote songs for people, and and I remember that there was this one lady that asked you to write a particular song for her mom because she was dying of cancer, or if you could play. How was that toward you with you having requests like that? Would you get that a lot, or was that real touching to where you couldn't do that at the time? Or
yeah, I know what you're talking about, Amelia. think she said, can you send a song for my mom?
Yes.
She's in hospice. And I didn't really take that as she wanted me to write her a song, and she just wanted me to send her something uplifting. So
Yes.
I sent her a song that's on my album called We Will Rise. And,
Yes.
so I sent her that. But I do, yes, from time to time, I do have people say, "Oh, I'd love it if you could write a song for me." And what I say is, what's your story? I mean, if you have an interesting story, maybe it's a song for me.
Right.
And let me just elaborate on that with something that happened recently. So I was in Nashville. I spend half my time there, and I was going through an artist fair in downtown Franklin. Franklin is a suburb of Nashville.
I know
exactly
who you're talking about.
Yeah, you have the arts and crafts, you have the candles, and you have the people. Anyways, I was really struck. You often see them, and they're often beautiful. These photographs of these people selling the photographs. You see them. This one was special. It was even more special, and it was this picture of a Mustang, a wild Mustang, at sort of sunset. The sky was turning gold and purple. It was coming across the field. It was just like super moving. And I never do this, but I bought it. And the man was there. The photographer was there with his wife, and his wife said, "Well, did he tell you the story?" I said, no. What's the story of that photo? And this is the story. So the photographer is in his middle 50s, had been a salesman for most of his life. And the pandemic came along, and he got laid off, and didn't know what to do. But photography had always been his dream, and he thought, well, maybe I should do what I'm put on earth to do. So he took his camera and he went to Wyoming to find himself, and he said he found this photo, and it was this Mustang. And the story about Mustangs is, one Mustang kind of is the dominant Mustang and has this herd of about a band of about 8 mares and whatnot. And when they get older, the younger Mustang comes along and challenges them. And at some point, they're overthrown, right? And so this guy had obviously been an old warrior. He had these scars and stuff like that, and he was on his own. And it was a photographer that, oh wow, he's a lot like me. You know what I mean? And he took this beautiful photo. And so, anyways, that turned into a song for me. And I had one verse about the sales guy, one guy about the Mustang, and then how they were the same, and how he was finding his purpose in life. And anyways, so that turned into a beautiful song. It's called "The Warrior," and this record, it's just got written. So that's an example of how someone's life story can turn into a song. And if anyone has a story like that, I'm happy to write it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's interesting. I grew up listening to the tear in my beer kind of country music, and the wife left with the dog and the kid, and they took my pickup truck, and and they make for great storytelling songs. However, it's rare that someone takes a positive energy or a positive note and writes a song about it. You don't hear those kind of songs anymore.
Well, let me comment on that, Angela. Yeah, let me comment. So what I think you're saying, if I was to paraphrase, is that certain genres of music, especially country music, have certain topics. And the era that you're talking about, they had their topics, and they were pretty limited, but not as limited as they are today. I mean, you would have songs about Harper Valley PTA or whatever else, you had different ones. But today, I would say that the number of topics are so limited. I would say there's songs about drinking. There's songs about, hey girl, you just came into the bar, I want to ask you out, you're so amazing. And then there's that's like 70% of the songs, and then the rest of them are, hey, here's some life advice. And I like the life advice, but that's it. There's very few topics. When I say I'm not a country artist, that's what I mean. I'm not interested in writing a song about someone coming into a bar. I'm not interested in writing about bar stools and neon lights and jukeboxes. I want to dance, and hey, I want to get your number. I want to text you.
Right.
That's been done a million times, and every time I hear it on the radio, I got another one. What I'm interested in, but what I like is I like the acoustic instruments, like the drums, the acoustic guitar, the pedal steel that breaks your heart. Maybe the fiddle, maybe the piano, the organ, the beautiful vocals, the organic, real people playing real instruments. That's what I love. And I want the topics to be more interesting. You know what I mean? And so that's where I'm coming from. And I call that Americana. Americana really is country folk, singer-songwriter.
Can I give you a comparison? And I'm going to make a comparison between you and a well-known artist. You remind me very much in personality, in song style, in the choice of subject matter. You remind me of the legendary Merle Haggard.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Merle wrote. I was fortunate to be. Oh, I'm not going to get into the story, but anyway, I have a connection to Merle Haggard. Okay, here's the thing. Merle wrote from the heart, but he also wrote from observation and what he lived and people he knew, and he was able to weave this and sew it together to create this fabric called a song, a story song.
Yeah.
Most great songs tell a story.
Yes.
Or they should anyway.
Sure. Some of them, yeah. Not all of them, but some of them,
yeah. Not all of them, true. And some are just, some you just want to tap your feet and pop your head and have a good time with it, and,
right.
And not have to think too hard. That's me.
Right.
But Merle was one of those guys that you remind me a lot of him.
Thank you. That's high praise. I appreciate that.
And I don't know if you did it or did it or do it deliberately, or if you're aware that you have that kindred spirit to him.
Well,
have you considered or see somebody who influenced you maybe?
Well, number one, I'll take that as a very high compliment. So thank you for that. What I think, the way I think of it is, I'm influenced by that style of songwriting and that tradition of songwriting of which he was a part. Yes. But I come from Canada, and there's a lot of singer-songwriters like Gordon Lightfoot, for example.
I love Gordon.
Same sort of a tradition, because he's in the tradition of the story songs, folk songs. And so I would be happy to put myself in that tradition. So that's what I think.
Amelia, questions for Brock?
Just like that song that you wrote about all free, about when the Black Lives Matter, like you said, if we're not all free, then we are not all free at all. And that's a wonderful, that's a wonderful quote.
We're not free at all.
Exactly. And that's a beautiful quote, because that can happen at a wonderful time, because you're wanting to make sure that it's just not one, it's all.
Right.
And, when I think of that, it's like, that's what I'm trying to tell everyone. It's not just one particular race. It's all of our races. We're just not all, because when we cut ourselves, we all bleed the same color. We're all one.
Amelia, can I interrupt you for just
Sure.
a second? Because you said something profound.
Okay. Go ahead.
Brock, can music change perspective? Can a song make a difference?
Yes.
Explain.
Undoubtedly. Well, let me tell you what I think songs can do that's unique. Words can move people, but music has the ability to bypass words and say things that in a way that words can't. Mm-hmm. It goes directly to the heart and the emotion. It bypasses the brain, goes right to the heart. So that's what music can do. When you combine music with words, which is what songs are, you get that double whammy. And so I do believe that songs can have an impact in a way that very few other media can, with the exception of maybe film. And then we combine film with a song, and then you have like a really powerful a movie. Yeah. So I do believe that's possible. I do believe that it's possible for people to change. So if you put those two things together, therefore it must be possible for a song to help someone change. A lot of people won't change. They get set in their ways, and that's that. But I do think a song can make a difference. Absolutely.
I'm a few years older than you. Quite a few, in fact. quite a few, in fact.
Just kidding.
I remember growing up and hearing people like Joan Baez and Pete Seeger. And Peter, Paul, and Mary, and these great
Not to mention
folk
Woody
artists.
Guthrie.
Yes,
Woody Guthrie, yeah.
exactly. Woody, absolutely, and
This guitar
Arlo.
kills fascists. Kills fascists. This guitar fights fascists. He has something like that written on his guitar.
Yeah, he sure did. He sure did. And his son Arlo Guthrie has followed directly in his footsteps. So you know where I'm going with this. I grew up during that turbulent. I grew up in 19. I was born in 1958, and I grew up in the turbulent 60s and
Yeah.
saw the music change. I saw the Beatles,
Yeah.
and I saw Elvis, metamorphose into this, movie actor, and all but lost the rock and roll king that he was.
Yeah.
And I saw this other kind of music taking hold. It was called message music.
Yep.
And
It was
we
a good
never,
period for it, yeah.
yeah, we haven't seen or heard message music in a very long time. But now, recently, and you're one of these artists that's, again, whether you know it or not, are jumping on that bandwagon to create music that moves and inspires generations to do something with their life and to do something for their country and for society.
Yeah.
Are you aware? Are you fully aware, or are you, like many artists, a sponge that absorbs this stuff and it's peripheral? Like you become all of everything you absorb.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely true no matter what. Yes, and we do absorb our things around us. But I would say a couple things there. First of all, that music for change wasn't limited to that period of time. I mean, obviously that's probably the shining example of it. But if you think ahead to things like Live Aid that Bob Geldof did in the 1980s, Little Steven from the E Street Band, he put on this big show that and was really helped bring down apartheid in South Africa, and so on and so forth. Willie Nelson did the Farm Aid, and so on and so forth. You don't hear so much about that in the last little while for whatever reason. But I think that'll come back again. But so that's one thing I wanted to say. It wasn't confined to the 60s. The second thing is, I wanted to have some of that on my album. I didn't want it to all be that,
Right.
I want, I wanted it to be a balance. I wanted there to be a love song.
Sure.
I wanted there to be an up-tempo, happy song, but I also wanted there to be some socially conscious songs, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
Too much of that is like, it gets a little bit much, but it also it lends gravity to the record when you have the right amount of it. So that's how I feel.
Let me tell people what people are saying about Brock Davis.
Okay.
And as I said, I had a little bit of a difficult time trying to find anything on Brock, and then all of a sudden I found everything on Brock. Here's what someone wrote. Brock writes fantastic lyrics. A song waiting to be sung is a small masterpiece. That's Beretta Magazine in Sweden. Another one, a quality country album. Again, there you go. There's somebody's pigeonholing you as a country artist. A quality country album with thoughtful emotion, compelling vocals, and vibrant harmony. That one is from Americana Highways in the U.S. A deadly honest approach that resounds in the excellent song work of Brock Davis, written in music, the Netherlands. Point I'm trying to make here, Brock, is that out of the 13 or 14 reviews here, 2 of them are from the U.S. The rest are all overseas. Why do the European continent and countries surrounding have a better appreciation for our music than we do?
Well, I think there's 2 things to say there. I wouldn't phrase it the way you just did.
Okay.
What I would say is, first of all, we released the record first in Europe, so there's more reviews that need to be added to the site that have not been added yet, that are from the U.S. So you're just seeing the early reviews that were from the Europe. So that's the first thing.
Right.
The second thing, but I think you do have a valid point, which is, as you talked about, the record is not easily pigeonholed. It's not just one thing.
Right.
And in the US, we do like to pigeonhole things. And if we can't pigeonhole it, then it's hard. Europe is not like that. Europe appreciates a little bit more diversity. I mean, they have a diverse number of languages, cultures, everything else, right? And they do have a real appreciation for Americana and American music, for sure. And so which is nice. So that's why you're seeing some of the glowing reviews are from places like the Netherlands, and so on.
Question, Amelia?
I was going to let you know that the Second Time Around song, I really love to hear that song. And speaking of crying, that did make me cry, just to tell you.
Yes.
I will tell you. So
It
that
don't take much to make her cry, by
No,
the way.
but especially
She
that
was
one.
crying last night, and we were talking about Michael Jackson.
Yeah, well, but no, really, when I first heard that song, it made me really, really get into the lyrics, and I felt like I was in part of the song, you know, just really living. And I thought, man, I could be in that song.
That's good. All right. That's good. You know, that's interesting, Amelia, because that's a very specific story.
Yes.
I don't think it's a story that too many people have exactly, but I think it seems honest, because it is actually completely honest and true.
Right.
And people can relate. It doesn't have to be exactly your story, as long as it seems like another story with the same emotions you might have had.
Right.
So now I feel like I need to tell the story. People listening who haven't heard the song. So, and I don't know. The lyrics tell the story, but if you haven't heard the song, many years ago, I had a girlfriend, and we were together, and then we split up because it wasn't right. We were young and just wasn't right. And both of us went on to get married and have children and have a whole life. And we both ended up getting divorced, and we ended up reconnecting. And she happened to be living in Nashville, and she was actually one of the instigating factors for me spending more time in Nashville and spending more time in making music and everything else. And she also was a songwriter, and we thought we'd write this song about ourselves called Second Time Around. And I think the lyrics go, this time we won't care who's right or who is wrong. This time when I'm in your arms, wrong.
Yes.
We're both older now. Little wisdom found. Is sweeter.
Sweet.
Second time around.
Time around. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Amelia, it's up on that time of the show. Your favorite part of the show.
Yes, my favorite time.
Show and tell. This is where we play a little video clip, Brock. We just sit back and let it speak for itself.
Yes.
Here's a little bit, some photos and some music from Brock Davis. This is some cover art, right? From an album, is that right?
Oh, I love that one.
I never thought this is where we'd end up. Two strangers passing on the courthouse steps. Those papers in the briefcase tell a story of our lives, but it's not how I'll remember us. And the choices we make us what we are today. Every step that we take takes us farther away. We can give in to hate, but it's a steep price to pay. So I choose love. And the sign on the lawn says it's sold and it's gone. As around the bend it disappears from my rear view. And I don't know where this heartache goes or what comes next. And I confess I'm just as scared as you. we are today. Every step that we take takes us farther away. We can give in to hate, but it's a steep price to pay. So I choose love. So I choose love. I choose love. And the choices we make us what we are today. Every step that we take takes us farther away. We can give in to hate, but it's a steep price to pay. So I choose love. I choose love.
That's good stuff.
Yay!
That is good stuff.
Oh, I was like getting teary-eyed again.
You need tissue.
I got some right here. Oh, that was a good song.
Brock, where's a song like that given birth, and how?
Well, it was inspired by a quote from Martin Luther King, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote is, I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And so I get choked up just thinking about it.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Anyway, he said that in his direct.
It's a very emotional song.
Yeah.
It really, really is.
Mhm.
And I can
Strong,
see
strong
how it
words.
got to you. It got to Amelia.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I found myself sitting here, nodding my head in agreement.
Mhm.
I listen to lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm a word man. I listen to words.
Yeah.
Which is
Mhm.
why I can't stand rap music, because I can't
Yeah.
understand the words.
There's a lot of words.
Yeah.
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 Finish off with that song, Emilio, Angelo. So he had that quote, which was part of his address for the Great March on Detroit.
Mhm.
And obviously, he was talking about racial injustice.
Yes.
He faced a lot of things in his life that would have, caused many people to embrace hatred, but he was able to overcome that.
Yeah.
And I was dealing with something much, much smaller, but nonetheless pretty impactful for me, which was like a pretty bitter divorce. And I thought, Jesus is exactly the same thing. And so that's what it's about.
Yeah. It gets
Wow.
hard sometimes, and it just
Incredibly powerful. Yeah, go ahead, Amelia. Continue.
and I know that you have to you have a family, so you can't really show hatred toward that because you have kids that you have to raise together, and you have to be peaceful with each other because you have children, and you have to be decent with each other, and you can't really, you have to be two households, and it gets
Sure.
hard.
Well, absolutely, the kids are a factor, but I think what Martin Luther King was saying is like
Hmm.
just too much of a burden.
Exactly.
To hate yourself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Rock, it hasn't always been guitar strings and sheet music for you. You did work for a period of time in the corporate sector. Are you still a member of the corporate world? And if so, what do you do? And if not, first of all, congratulations for leaving. What did you do in the corporate world?
There's still a balance there. I worked in software,
Okay.
and I don't really need to go into a ton about what that was about, other than to say that I did spend that time in a high-tech startup, which is a very fast-paced world, exciting, and very not too dissimilar to music, because you're basically creating something new that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So there's no roadmaps, very creative, and a big struggle because you're trying to build something from nothing, just like you are with a music career. And there's a lot of gatekeepers along the way. So those gatekeepers, instead of being like publishers or booking agents, they're venture capitalists and investors and things like that, right? But it's a similar dynamic in many ways.
Incredible, incredible.
Absolutely.
I've known people who perform, and currently still know people who perform. I know, and we've had them on the show. We've had performers, artists, agents, managers, every aspect of show business. The unique thing about one artist and one guitar, to be able to stand on a stage and command 2,000 or 3,000 people with just you, your guitar, and a microphone in front of you. We had Lacey J. Dalton here 3 weeks ago, along with the country legend Sylvia. Is that her name?
Yes, Sylvia.
Okay. Sylvia Hatton. That's it. That was Hutton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that as much as music has evolved, the one thing that's never gone away is the solitary artist and the guitar. What is it about that instrument that is revered? There's something special about this box with strings. Harry Chapin actually wrote a song about the guitar. It's called Wooden Boxes. It's called Wooden Boxes. And the song, he talks about these wooden boxes strung with silver wire. So what is it about this instrument? Why do we love and revere the guitar?
I will answer that. But I'll also point out that, if you think of songwriters like Joni Mitchell, Neil Young, Springsteen, they might get up there with just their guitar. They could also get up there with their piano. They could also get up there, in Joni's case, with like her hammered dulcimer or whatever, So it's one person accompanying himself that is perhaps the archetype. But the guitar is definitely the most popular, and I think the reason for that is it doesn't take much to make it sound good. A G chord, just have to put your fingers in one little place and go, and that's it. It sounds like you're making music.
Don't put it down. Grab that sucker. Get that.
Right, get that in your hand.
I'm gonna coach you into singing a song. Amelia.
Yes.
You know his music. What's the new one? You got a new one out, bro.
Yes, that one that I choose love.
That's the one we just played. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, the one I just played. That's the new one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're very current.
I'm on it. Good. I'm on it. All right. Cool. Amelia, more questions for Rob.
Yeah. The album covers. How did you come up with those? Did you just have an idea and that's what you're going to do, and then you come up with the songs?
One I wish I had asked. Damn it. Go ahead. I'll give you that one. Go ahead.
Right. Well, there's cover art for the album, and then there will be cover art for every single song because of the way Spotify and streaming services works now. It's best to sort of release them one at a time, right? So even though the album is available physically, when it comes to streaming, we're doing one at a time. So we're up to number 4, I think.
Yes.
And we're going to keep on going until we do them all, and then by that time there'll be a new album. So anyways.
Awesome.
We have to create artwork for every single song, which is, a little bit different than how it used to be, right? So the album cover is no big deal. It's just a picture of me. That's pretty traditional. But when it came to the songs, sometimes it's easier to find an image that really suits it than others. So probably the most effective one was the one that you had in your montage, because it's for this song, I Choose Love. And I thought to myself, well, for some reason, it just occurred to me, those tattoos of a heart that have love on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, how about a tattoo with the message, I choose love? And so what I did is I hired a tattoo artist who creates tattoos, very traditional, to actually create that illustration. I said, I want a sort of
creative
tattoo, but I want the logo to say, I choose love. And that's how we came up with that one.
Outside the box thinking.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
I don't know where it came from.
I love the visual. I'm a visual person. I love the artwork. We showed and I showed the same photo in black and white and colors just to get the contrast. There's something about black and white photography that I really love, particularly on album art.
Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic, isn't it?
you said that you had a separate art piece for every song, which
Yeah.
is a little different than it used to be. There was, you had an album with 12 songs on it, 6 on each side, that's traditional
Right.
vinyl.
Yeah.
And then you had your album cover, whatever, and per Sergeant
Maybe you
Pepper.
had, maybe you had a sleeve or something like that. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Is that all part of the evolutionary process of music? Is it becoming more advanced, or
I don't
is
know
it?
advanced, but I mean, as the technology changes, the art changes too, right? So, and that's one little minor thing, which is we're going to have artwork for every single song. But I'll mention another trend that's happening, and by the way, everything's circular. So a lot more songs are starting with the chorus, which is hasn't been that usual. Like usually a song starts with a verse and then there's the chorus. That's how many songs have done. But it's actually a very old form, which is a very sing-along form. We just start off with a rousing chorus and get everyone singing along, and then you do a verse, and then you do another rousing chorus. And that's how they did it in the pubs. Many pub songs or drinking songs are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why it's happening now is because of how Spotify works, which is get counted for a stream only when someone listens to 30 seconds of your song. So if you want them to listen to 30 seconds, you're going to put the best 30 seconds first, and that's why more songs are starting with a chorus. It's totally valid musical thing to do, but it's influenced by the technology. And so I think that's another interesting example of how technology is changing music. And you alluded to one earlier, Mad Dog, when you said there were 6 songs aside. Why were there 6 songs aside? Because that was the limit of what you could hold on a 12-inch piece of vinyl.
Exactly.
You couldn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe you wanted to have 30 songs aside in a row, but technology didn't permit. So that's fine.
Brock, what is your primary outlet for marketing your music these days? Where are you getting the most airplay?
Honestly, I think it is in the U.S. We're getting the most airplay in the U.S. There's a number of Americana stations across the U.S. that are playing it, and actually, there's a number of country stations that are playing the country songs.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is there Amelia?
Yes.
We're not going to put Garth Brooks off the charts anytime soon.
Right?
Oh yeah.
No, just kidding. You will within a month or so, probably, or early.
We'll see.
Go ahead, Amelia. Good. Continue.
No, I was going to say that also. I think that also, I don't know if you've heard of the Bluebird Cafe. Have you ever played there?
I have once. Yeah.
Oh, you ought to play there again. I know. That'd be a nice place to play.
Bluebird. Okay, you guys are way above my paid grade right now. The Bluebird Cafe. What am I
In
missing
Nashville.
out on here?
Let me explain what that is. It's a little venue in Nashville.
Mhm.
It's a strip mall in an area called Green Hills, I believe. It's nothing to look
I
at.
lived in Nashville, and I don't know the Bluebird. I should be embarrassed.
Oh, you should be impressed. Anyways,
Yeah.
it's nothing to look like from the outside. It's nothing to look like from the inside either. Seats maybe 100 people tops.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But what it's known for is these songwriter rounds where top songwriters, guys that have written the big songs, they come and there's maybe 3 or 4 of them, and they take turns playing their songs, and you're in a very intimate environment, like you can reach out and touch them, basically, almost.
How far from like Printer's Alley and Tootsie's?
It's nowhere near downtown. It's in Green Hills.
Oh, I got you. Okay,
Mhm.
that's why
And
I
the
don't know it.
reason is, and it's very hard actually now to get tickets. Number one, it only holds about 100 people. It's very hard to get tickets because it's very famous now. And the reason
Yes.
is because of the TV show Nashville,
Because of the TV show Nashville.
which has made a bunch of
Oh,
things.
I got you.
It's
Yeah.
playing in the Bluebird. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So, what other music do you have currently in the works? When is the next anticipated album?
Sure. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we're releasing a song a month. And so we've got another one coming out in 2 weeks. It's called Bet on Love. It's very much a country song. It's being played on the country stations. And I'll tell you, the album art is actually, or the song art is actually quite cool. what it is it's someone looking at their cards, like their cards in a poker hand or something like that.
Yeah.
And you see the chips in the background, you see the felt table, and you see the cards that they're looking at. But instead of ace, king, queen, it spells LOVE.
I love that you went with that after all.
You know
I
what? I
love
remember that. I
Yeah.
saw that on Facebook, and Brock, you were actually asking people,
Yeah.
to like kind of vote on it. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, sure.
I love that you went with that.
so is
That's
that how it
awesome.
was chosen through Facebook, right?
I was encouraged, yeah, for sure.
Yes,
Encouraged,
that's
okay.
It
awesome.
was good. Yeah, the response was
That's
good.
interesting stuff. That really is.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. This is just the tip of the iceberg of Brock Davis. I would love to have you back
Sure.
and join us again if you're up. Man, that was a fast hour. Holy crap!
Yes, it
That was
was.
a whole hour? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an hour already. Holy shit.
Mhm.
I think you got they call the gift of the gab.
Right.
Yeah, well, you're with two pros over here.
Well, right,
Because
because I
neither
know
one of us shut up.
I don't know which one that is. That'd be the guy.
Yeah, why are you laughing?
the one
at
in the
me?
gray. The one in the gray.
Me? Oh. Yeah, but I'm a professional. It's what I do
Uh-huh.
for a living.
Yeah, and me and
I'll
Brock
tell you,
talk like
wanna
casual.
Find out a little bit. Amelia, back to the corner, young lady. I want to find out where Brock Davis, you can get your social, or where
Yes.
people can get your music. Tell everybody where they can get all this stuff, how they can book you, contact you for events, corporate or private.
BrockDavisMusic.com.
That's simple. BrockDavisMusic.com.
Yep. That's all.
Yep. And
Independent artist.
I can vouch for the fact that everything is there.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find Brock on Facebook. He's got a very visible Facebook presence. And if they can't find him, just follow Amelia. She'll take you to him.
If he allows me to.
That sounds good.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was a great honor to have you, Amelia. Tell everybody what's coming up.
Actually, we have pretty soon we're going to have Alistair Cross. He is a upcoming book author.
Yep.
And let's see, I think it's horror, I believe that he does. He does a lot of different types of books that we have.
Next
coming up.
week we've got the Hollywood Insider.
Mhm.
This guy, if you know Hollywood, then you know
Mhm.
Jeffrey Mark.
Yes.
Jeffrey Mark will be back. We're going to talk about old Hollywood, old.
Mhm.
Hold your ears, Brock.
Old.
Old gay Hollywood is the title of the show. So go figure what that one's about. We've got we got a couple of them coming up. Damn, we've got
Yes.
next week we got Jeffrey Mark. We have Brandon Keaton.
Keaton. Yes.
Brandon will feature his new film, Turbo Cola.
Cola. That's
Can't
the
tell
one.
you- I
Yes.
cannot tell you what it's about.
No.
Largely because I don't know.
I think I saw a preview of it once.
Yeah, we saw a preview of it, but we're not going to tell anybody.
No.
But we have at the end of the month, June
Mhm.
29th and 30th, the return.
Mhm.
A good one. The return of Pearl Jr. and what really happened to Michael Jackson. From a Jackson family insider, she knew Michael. She knew
Mhm.
Joe Jackson, Michael's dad.
Yes.
She knew the mother, Katherine Jackson, Randy, Jermaine, Tito, all of them. She was deep inside the pocket,
Yes.
Pearl Jr., and she'll be here on the 29th and 30th. For Brock Davis, BrockDavisMusic.com. For Amelia Pitbull Chapman, I'm Mad Dog DeCipio. Till we see you again next time, take care of everybody. Be happy
Hey.
and love your neighbor. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Brock.